Senator the Honorable Fazal Karim, Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training. Senator the Honorable Kevin C. Ramnarine, Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs. Senator the Honorable Ganga Singh, Minister of the Environment and Water Resources. Senator the Honorable Dr. Boendradat Tiwari, Minister of Planning and Sustainable Development. Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance and Economy, Mr. Rudranath Indar Singh. Minister of State in the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, Ms. Ramona Ramdial. Chairman of National Energy, Mr. Rupchand Chedi Singh. President of National Energy, Dr. Vernon Paltu. President of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Dr. Diane Narayan Singh. Chairman, Presidents, CEOs and General Managers of State Boards, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, on behalf of the Board of Governors of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, welcome you to this afternoon's launch of the Solar House project. I also want to recognize Mr. Ramprasad Motilal, the Director of the Institute of Energy here at Point Lisas, and Mr. Prem Nanlal, also of the Institute of Energy. It is always a great delight to return to the Point Lisas campus of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, since this is the birthplace of the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And just a stone's throw as we get ready to take flight at the aviation campus, we return to our roots in energy at the birthplace of the University of Trinidad and Tobago and the Trinidad and Tobago Institute of Technology. For many years, the nation's economic sustainability has been dependent on its hydrocarbon reserves and its non-renewable energy resources. Our first oil refinery was established in the early 20th century in 1912. Since then, our country has benefited greatly from this, our chief natural resource. Indeed, it is difficult to think of Trinidad's development without referring to oil and gas. But history has also warned us that we need to be cautious in this regard. A high degree of dependence on oil revenues makes us exceedingly vulnerable to fluctuating oil prices. Our rapid growth in 1973 was directly linked to an increase in demand and brought unprecedented prosperity through skyrocketing oil prices. Yet this prosperity suffered greatly as prices fell in 1982 and then again in 1986. Thus began the difficult transition to diversify the economy, and we continue in that important thrust today. The use of renewable power is part of this transition and holds great promise for the future of our local energy industry. And UTT is particularly pleased to be involved in this thrust towards diversification. It's a pillar of what we do at UTT. I keep referring recently last November, when the prices of oil and gas fell, a newspaper reporter writing in the Express, I believe it is, referred to the fact that every time this happens, either the Scott Ryder report declares that reserves are dwindling, or the price of oil collapses and we have to talk about falling revenues. We start to talk about diversification. But who is doing anything about this, she asked. And I declare, and we have encouraged, and we have promoted at UTT this idea of being an entrepreneurial university and taking on board that challenge of economic diversification. So this solar house project, designed to showcase the potential of solar power as a viable source of energy, is a fitting response to the need for establishing alternative green energy resources. And I want to commend Minister Ramnarine and his team at the ministry in this regard. UTT is proud to be part of this collaboration with the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs, the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, and the National Energy Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago. Governments everywhere are realizing the need to bridge the gap between research and industry in order to allow the former to enrich the latter, and so position themselves strategically in the evolving international community. Indeed, just recently, the University of Trinidad and Tobago received a grant for $4.5 million from the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs to fund 2 projects geared towards improving the country's energy sustainability. As UTT's chairman, I am happy to see the university closely aligned to its mandate of relevant research for national development and remain committed to initiatives that are relevant and research-driven. We are proud to wholeheartedly support initiatives such as these, which are closely aligned to the nation's growth, not only in an economic context, but also at a societal level, thus leading to enhanced outcomes for the wider national community. Only a couple months ago, we launched our Institute of Business in San Fernando with the assistance of some of Minister's friends and colleagues from Singapore, looking at the Singapore model. This solar house project holds much promise for the future of local green energy and is the first in a series of renewable energy initiatives being undertaken by UTT through its Energy Institute. The Institute also proposes to launch a wave dragon off the Bocas del Dragon to research the potential of utilizing tidal energy from its waters, and along with the solar house, to form the initial thrust of UTT's renewable energy agenda. It is my hope that through this collaboration, Trinidad and Tobago can embark upon a productive campaign into the many potentials of renewable energy, so that one day, solar-powered homes, as Deborah said, will not be the exception, but rather the norm. Again, I welcome you and look forward to working together for a better, more sustainable, and prosperous Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much.